Hey guys, I finally broke up from sixth form yesterday and I really needed a break, so I'm so thankful that it's half term. I'm here to make a video that I think is particularly important for me at the minute because not only have I been wanting to do it for a while, I am actually acting as an assistant teacher for English in year 7 classes. I teach 2 of them alongside the actual teachers, and some of the students in one particular class do not seem to like reading at all. They just sit with a book and they don't actually read it. And there's a few of them that don't read at all. They think it's boring, they think it's dumb, and I'm here to basically explain to them, as well as anyone else watching the video, why you should read and why reading is important and why I in particular chose to read, because I did. And I wouldn't be here unless I did, because this channel is about books. So why would I have a book channel unless I liked books? So anyway, I am here to make that video and I hope it's enjoyable for all of you regular watchers, and I hope it's enjoyable for you in that class, because I know that eventually Miss Gibson will make you watch this and it will be highly embarrassing because I'll be crying and hiding at the corner of the room and you'll all be turning to look at me like, what is this? What are you doing? Well, how can you be there and there? And yeah, that's gonna be so embarrassing. Anyway, that was quite terrifying, I will admit. Anyway, I started reading in primary school mainly because I needed to do something that I found fun. I'd watched TV and there wasn't really anything on that I enjoyed. I didn't really like all of the kids shows that were generally on TV at the time. There were a few, of course, that I did enjoy and I did watch them whenever I could. But I needed something else to do that involved my brain. I felt like I wasn't being challenged enough, and when I especially looked at the other kids in my class, because I was sort of a middle person, I wasn't the really smart kid and I wasn't the struggling kid at the bottom, I was the middle grade kind of kid who didn't really have anything to their name that made them feel special. So I thought, right, we read a lot in our class, we do a lot of reading, we do a lot of golden time and all that stuff and reading time. So I picked up a book and I read it, and then I'd pick up another one and another one and another one and another one. And eventually I found Harry Potter. I found The Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, and when I'd read that, I felt like I had found my true calling, my one thing that I really loved, because that book was so magical for me. It was so amazing and the whole world was so enthralling and I just loved it, and I loved the characters. I felt like I was emotionally connected to them. It was really, really bizarre. And I wanted to read the other books in the series, but obviously by then they weren't out because this was still primary school and this was still when J.K. Rowling was writing them. So it was quite sad to think that I couldn't read the next books, but eventually I did manage to read the entire series as I grew older, and that series was what really kick-started my reading. It was what encouraged me to read and what made me feel like reading was a good thing to do. I have to say that Harry Potter was probably the only memorable one, apart from Kintsugi's Kingdom, which we read in a class in year 6. I loved that, and I do actually have a copy somewhere. Here it is. I bought this during primary school actually, just so I could keep up with the reading, and because I secretly wanted to read to the end before everyone else, because that was the kind of person I was. I was so gripped by the book that I just wanted to read on, and I did. And that is how I have this, and I have to tell you that reading is that thing that sort of changed my life. It's one of those life-changing things. I wasn't ever going to turn out the way I have unless I read, and I'm really glad that I did read, because otherwise, who knows how I would have turned out. Reading really did make me feel special. It made me feel like I had something that I could do when I was sad or bored that would really, really make me happy again. So I did. And that is why I am now the proud owner, and this is quite sad that I've just counted for this video, I am the proud owner of 633 books. So why do I still read? Obviously there is the bonus of learning new vocabulary that I can use to make myself sound intelligent. There's also the benefits for my brain, such as the fact that I can now comprehend more things. I do have a really high level of comprehension. It's enjoyable. If you don't believe me, pick up a book that you think you will like and read it all the way to the end. Don't stop. Don't get distracted by TV. Don't go and eat as a procrastination technique. Read the book until the end and you will be so much better for it. You'll have learnt some new words, you'll have understood things, you'll have some more contextual background to your life. For example, if you read a book about the history of the gold rush in America, you would now know something about something that people in your class would not know. The funny thing is, it's often subconscious. You don't even realise that you've learnt something. And that's quite special in its way because you learn things and you manage to associate things without having to consciously do it. So it's not even a conscious effort. You don't even have to think, you can just do it. I kind of went off on a tangent. Anyway, another reason why I read is because not only does it stand me out from other people, it also makes me just a tad better at English. You know, I wouldn't be as good at English as I am unless I'd read, because books helped me to build a better level of comprehension, as I've mentioned, and it also introduced me to a wider vocabulary, as I've mentioned, but the main thing that reading has allowed me to do is develop my writing skills themselves. By taking in all of these different ways of writing and looking at the different styles, the different persons, the different tenses and genres and all that stuff, by reading all of that, I have managed to smush it all into my own unique style, and that is what has ultimately made me successful at English. It is what got me my A stars in language and literature. It's hopefully what's going to get me my A in literature at A level, and the thing that I worry about most is my love of writing. From reading, I have gained the love of writing. I like to write my own books. Now this is something I was not planning to reveal to the class, but let's do it anyway. Let's ruin my entire life. I have my own book. None of you will ever read it. Ever. 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 So yeah, I gained my love of writing and my prowess at writing from reading. So if you want to be a better writer, then read. It will help you a lot. I suppose the final thing to mention, and possibly the most important thing to mention, is that you can meet some really, truly amazing people by reading. If you're the sort of person who likes going to events, if you're the sort of person who likes to go out and meet people, you will love the events that run surrounding authors and books. You can go to talks, you can go to signings, you can go to speeches and lectures and all this sort of stuff, and at those places you will meet, I guarantee, some really lovely people. I mean, most of my best friends that I actually have now, I met at one author signing, and I couldn't live without them because they are my best friends and I love them to bits. I met Becky and Olivia and Christian and Ashley and Ellie and everyone else, and I literally could not imagine being without them, and it's all through books. It's all through my favourite series of books, Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy, that I met all these amazing people. And even yesterday I went to an event in Leeds City Centre with Patrick Ness, who is the famous author of the Chaos Walking trilogy. His new book, More Than This, came out recently, and he was doing this talk about that, and I sat down next to this student. She's a student at university, and she started talking to me saying, you know, what books of his have you read? Are you a big fan? Are you a small fan? And she's only just started reading his books, and she really loved the one that she had, which is The Monster Calls. And I just had this conversation with her, and then someone tapped me on the shoulder who was sat behind me, and it was this English teacher, and she asked me if anyone was sat in the seat next to me because it was empty, and I said no, and she came and sat with us, and then we had this big conversation, and then I mentioned that I like Skullduggery Pleasant, I like Derek Landy, and then they went, oh my god, we love him too, and we had this really nice, really passionate conversation about books, and it is that sort of thing that really encourages me to read. It is the thing that drives me into loving books and to going to these events, because the people that read are some of the nicest, most intelligent, most willing to talk people that you could ever meet, and I really, really love it. It's a community full of people who are driven by their love of reading to communicate with each other, to meet the authors, to have this sort of really nice community, and I can't imagine being without that. I can't imagine being without the community of readers that I'm a part of in real life, on YouTube, in the world, wherever. Reading has just made me this confident person. I wouldn't normally, like, usually I don't go out places by myself, I don't go to events by myself, but with reading and with authors I feel that I can, because it is that sort of really nice place that you can go, and all the people that are there love the same things as you. You all got this central passion or this central liking, and it's just brilliant, it really is. So that probably made me sound really nerdy. That's probably the nerdiest thing that I'm gonna say, but seriously, if you read, you have so many brilliant opportunities, and I couldn't stress enough how good it is to read, how good you feel about yourself, how good you improve your intelligence, your vocabulary, all that stuff. It is all of that, but it's also the fact that you gain a love of something that a lot of other people like and that you can connect with people about. So yeah, there's a bit of a solemn ending for you, very nice. I hope it was, you know, a nice video to watch. I hope it sort of let you into my life a little bit about why I read. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. And if you are one of the Year 7s, or if you are Miss Gibson, I hope that this didn't disappoint you too much on my video front. So yeah, I'll see you all later, and I hope that you have a nice night or day or sleep, whatever you're doing at the minute. See you later, guys.